much easier route to go. When you actually have to stop, hold your breath, think about it, contemplate, that's part of why we're here. So I want to tell you a little bit of a story of, I've told the story, so you guys have to laugh again because it's one of my favorite stories, but I'm going to tell it. Okay, again. Some of these people, some people here have been in class for 2 years, so they've heard some of these stories. But anyways, okay. The governor of Texas is driving down the freeway, and he's got his wife by him, and he's been the governor for many, many years, but at this point he decides that he's going to, they're going to take a vacation across the street, and they're going to drive there. So he's driving this big Cadillac or Tesla or whatever, some big fancy thing, with a big silver car. I don't know, it's running out of gas. So he pulls over. They're in the middle of nowhere, okay? He pulls off the freeway. He drives down, and they go into the gas station. And, it's actually happening. They need oil, so he goes to the full service. I don't know if anybody's ever been to a full service gas station. But anyway, the guy comes out. He runs out, and he comes, and he asks the guy. He gets some oil. He gets some whatever. Meanwhile, so that's the governor talking to the guy. The wife, who is sitting next to him in the passenger seat, she ducks down. She begins picking lint off her shoes. She's just straightening the carpet. She doesn't lift her head above the dashboard for the entire duration of the gasoline operations going on. Fine. Now, they pull out of the driveway. They pull out of the gas station. They go back on the freeway, and the governor goes like this. He says, "Let me guess. Before we were married, you were engaged, correct?" And she said, yeah, I was engaged to somebody else. That's right. And he said, "And let me take another guess. That gasoline attendant was your former fiance. Am I right?" And she says, "Oh my goodness, that's amazing. 100% correct. You're absolutely right. That is who that was. That's why I was so uncomfortable. Oh my goodness, but that's remarkable that you guessed that." And then the governor says, "And let me ask you something else. You were sitting there thinking, oh my goodness, if I had married this gasoline attendant, I would now be living in Podunk, Texas, in the middle of nowhere, married to a gasoline attendant. Isn't that exactly what you were thinking, dear?" And she said, "Actually, no, that's not what I was thinking." He said, "Really? Well, what were you thinking then?" And she said, "I was just sitting there thinking, my goodness, if I had married that man, he would now be the governor of Texas." Okay? All right. Some of you have heard that story. Okay, so why am I telling the story? There is something that this woman, what's the governor's wife called? The first lady? I don't know, whatever. The governor's wife.
I don't know.
The governess, I don't know, whatever. The governor's wife, there is something that she is doing that is creating in her husband a strength of a sense of strength and power. Look, Governor of Texas is wonderful. It's fantastic. We should all aspire to great things. There are greater things. There could be somebody who's very holy. There could be somebody who's very giving, loving, I'm not saying that being succeeding in politics is the be-all and end-all, so don't get me wrong from there. But I'm just saying somebody who is a leader in the world. There's something that she is doing in her marriage that's creating that. And I'll give you a hint. It's something that we all do every single day. We just do it not as well as she does it. And what is that? That is prioritizing. So we know from our sources, and can you see this on the camera? Yeah. There's 220 sources there from ancient texts, that the Torah and ancient texts, that talk about guarantee if you make your husband the priority in your life, all manners of miraculous things will happen in your life. So I'll give you an example of what it means to prioritize. Here's the secret formula for having a husband that's the governor of Texas, or a greater than he is, rather than looking somebody who you can honor and respect and look up to more than you currently are. And that is, if you're cleaning off the dishes from the table, you start with your husband's dishes. If you are folding the laundry, you start with his sock. If you're wrapping presents for everyone, you wrap his present first. okay? So now, here's the question that I always get with this is, wait a minute, Leah, are you kidding me? Like, one of the examples I give, I say, let's say you have your daughter's shoes and your husband's dry cleaning, and your husband's dry cleaning is over there and your daughter's shoes are close, whatever. You would drive farther, drop his clothes at the cleaners, come back and do the shoes. I mean, unless you have to make a lot of left turns there, and it's, don't make yourself insane. But I'm saying, as a general rule, whenever you can put your husband first, you do put your husband first, even if you have to go out of your way a little, even if you have to sometimes go out of your way a lot. Not every time, but you do this as much as you can. The more you make him the number one priority, the more blessing you will have in your home. So a woman says to me, wait a minute, are you kidding? Like, if I drop his dry cleaning off first and my daughter's shoes off at the cobbler or whatever for second, he's not going to know. My daughter's not going to know. What do you want? I'm supposed to tell him, by the way, I dropped yours first. He's like, what are you, crazy? I mean, you can tell him. It's fine. But I'm just saying, like, what difference is it going to make? And I'll explain. Who it makes the biggest difference to is you. Is you. You have gone in your head and mostly in your heart. You have shifted from, it's all equal, it's an even playing field and whatever, and I'm doing what's most convenient for me, or I'm doing what's easiest or whatever, to, no, my whole focus is making my husband my priority. Now there's other questions. Who's the priority? Do you prioritize yourself over your husband? Do you prioritize your children over your husband? How does this work? So as a general rule, a husband is a priority over children. I have many, many sources for this. Okay, this is the cause. And I'm going to open this up for questioning in a minute because I can see the faces. They're like, okay then. Women say to me, listen, when my husband and I got married, we made a commitment to ourselves. We're always going to put the children first. So if what you're saying is true, then I have to undo our marriage vows or our marriage, that was our main goal in life. I'm like, okay, you can have a mistaken goal in life. The goal is that your husband is the priority in life. That's what our sources are telling us. Has a proven 3,000-year track record for having extraordinary marriages, is putting the husband first before the children. So what about myself? So in this, you have to know, every woman knows herself. Some women are very, what's that called? My husband calls it to me, high maintenance. Thank you. Yes, that would be me. Okay? You have high maintenance women. You have women who are like, all right, whatever happens, that's fine. You have chilled people, you have whatever. So you have to know yourself. But as a general rule, you're putting your husband as a priority to the extent that you can, unless it's detrimental to yourself. Like if you're absolutely, you had one of those days, like we've all had one of those days where everything goes wrong, like you had a million things to do, and most of them went wrong. Okay, we know this. In that situation, your husband's coming home, and you're like, oh my goodness, my priority should be I have to get him some food out, I have to do whatever. I don't have it in me. So you put a box of cereal on the counter, you put a little spoon, and you go take a nap. Whatever it is, we get it. But for the most part, what you want to be doing is making your husband the priority. And the blessings that you will see from this, the issue about having a husband who's a governor of Texas, I mean, that's a wonderful thing, and it's a very showy thing. But more important to all of us, none of us want to be married to the governor of Texas who was off running around and we never had an intimate relationship with him. We only want to be married to the governor of Texas if when he comes home, he's like, what did you think about the speech I gave? And how are you doing? How are the kids? Somebody who's really, really connected to us. That's what really we want. And I'm telling you right now, the secret to this, and this is not Leah Richeimer's brilliant idea, okay? It's from the Torah. If you put your husband as the top priority in your life, even if you're working 3 jobs, even if you've got 17 kids, whatever, even if you have a lot of kids, whatever is going on in your life, if you put your husband first, all manner of circumstances will shift to fix things. So, for instance, you have, one kid is doing terrible in math, and the handle on the front door is broken, and the Wi-Fi doesn't work. Whatever it is, everything is a mess. And you're like, your husband's coming home and you're like, I can't deal. You're like, you know what? I'm leaving all of these problems to you, God, because I have a job to do right now. I'm going to take care of my husband. You go take care of your husband, suddenly you'll come, oh my gosh, now look at that. The front door seems to be working. And, hey, you got a B and a Mac? That's what, I'm not guaranteeing that everything in your life will be perfect, but I am guaranteeing this. If you put your husband as your top priority, you will see blessing in your life. And again, that's not my guarantee. I mean, I'll make it as well. That's the Torah's guarantee. That's our ancient sources say. If you put your husband first, we were born as an Ezer Kenegdo, a helpmate opposite our husband, not as an Ezer carpool. Okay? So now, I want to open this up to questions. Okay. What stops you? And on the teleconference, you can also answer this. What stops you from making your husband, from prioritizing him first, from making him first in your life? Who's got an answer? What stops us? You don't even have to answer for you. What's in general stops us?
I actually found it to be it's interesting that you've had people saying to you that when they got married, their concept was we should put our kids first. I actually found that when I was getting married, I actually said to my husband, we're never going to put our children before us. Like, we're going to be number one. It's going to be you and me. We're together on this, and we're always going to put. And why? Because in my own life, my own personal life, I just saw a lot of people in my circles where it was always the kids and the kids and the kids and the kids. And I always, as an outsider, an observer, watching it, I always felt sort of, there's something wrong with that. And I feel as though they should really put each other first. So I was this is my thing. I want to put us first, and we're going to be first, and it's always going to be about us. And that sort of disappeared probably after my first child, after I held my first baby in my hands. And I realized that this child is completely solely dependent on me. Mm-hmm. And my husband's a big boy. And he can.
Wait, did you hear that? My husband's a big boy.
Right.
Yeah. The reason I'm pointing that out is because we all feel that way. That's like where we're all holding. Yeah.
And it is. He was like, he's a big boy. He could take care of himself. This baby needs me. So I kept saying to myself, well, so I'm only going to be like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm only going to be like that for the little beginning part while the baby's young and the baby still needs me and I'm nursing, and then it'll change.
So in other words, that was the shift between priorities. They couldn't hear her? She should go on the mic? You couldn't hear her. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Now, No. It's only this mic because it's by the phone. And all the other mics are not picking up anything.
What, you couldn't hear?
Huh? No, you could hear me last week? Yeah, on the phone. Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh, you can hear Sheree. It's other people.
I think other people, they don't
hear.
They hear me fine. My voice.
We'll get this worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the phone. Okay,
yeah.
So finish your other
thing.
So
that's really what that was the whole thing, meaning I just kept pushing it off, saying eventually we will get to prioritizing each other. Right now our priorities are kids, mm-hmm. and our priority is the same way that many times I felt like as though he was prioritizing, let's say, work. He was just starting a business, so the work was the priority. So right. I felt as though we're two adults and we can shift it, but then you turn around and you're going
10 years later.
10 years, yeah. 10, 15 years, yeah. And you haven't gone back to that because you've been always prioritizing it.
So before you were married, it was kind of like this ideal. And then reality hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then reality hits.
Yeah.
So the issue is, and here's the beautiful part about this particular lesson. It's extraordinary. All of the physical things that you're doing to run your children would be 10,000 times easier if you focused on your husband instead. This is such a miracle. I'm telling you, I have so many sources in here where they said that most of chinuch, most of child education has to do with shalom in the home. And so instead, there were so many demands on you, and children scream out physically, literally. I mean, this is like a joke. They scream out at the top of their lungs for our attention, and our husband is like, it's okay. Yeah, no, I'll put something in the microwave. Don't worry, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. I can take care of myself. I'm fine. Oh, I've got work to do anyhow. And he goes on clicking on the thing, and the separation of, the intimacy is lost in the moment and in the week and the year. Yeah.
Not really so pertinent.
Wait. No, I'll repeat it. I'm going to repeat what you said. I'll repeat it.
If I was a listener and I had small babies at home, I would think okay, how are you putting that into reality, in practical terms? I have to feed the baby, I have to nurse the baby, I have to,
Okay, so the question is,
and my husband decided to walk in and have supper right then. Obviously you're putting the baby first. So you're saying in general a very nice concept, but then reality just kicks in, and you bathe the baby every night and you put the baby to bed yourself because that's, you got to get the baby on schedule for your house to keep running.
I think she should come up because I can't repeat everything she just said.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
I think that's. Yeah. I don't know what we're going to do now.
Yeah.
So the question. Okay. So the question is realistic. If somebody who had a bunch of little kids.
Yeah, little ones.
Little babies, and their husband comes. This is a really lovely idea, Leah. Thank you very much for sharing. But, reality is I've got 3 kids, under 4 or whatever. My husband, he's going to have to make his own dinner. Are you out of your mind?
Not even making his own dinner. If you're putting kids in the bath and he comes home.
Okay, if you're putting kids in the bath and you're practical, how do you do it?
Because I don't think you can really enjoy dinner if you leave them all running around the house and up late every night. And
right. Fantastic. Okay, so how do you take care of the kids and make him feel like he's the party owner?
Mm-hmm. You're giving a very clear.
So I'll give the exact bathtub thing. You walk in the house. Let's just put the shoe on the thing, and your husband is giving the kids a bath. So good luck with that one. If anyone does that, give me a call and tell me. I said, let me finish. So hard to
really like this scenario much better.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, we're all taking lessons. So now, here's the thing. So you walk in the door, and your husband is busy giving the kids a bath. Ha, ha, ha. Okay? Now, you obviously feel like, all day I had such a rough day. I want to come home to, a pina colada. I don't know, whatever, No, but here's the thing. Now your husband says, he's giving the kids a bath, and he says, oh, hi, or he says, oh, hi, honey, I am so happy that you're home. I wish.
They said, the audience said, I'm so happy that you're home, so you could come take kids and give them a bath. Right.
That's right. So when he said, I'm so happy, this is what your husband's saying to you. I'm switching roles just so you can see what it would feel like. I'm so happy you are home. I'm so happy that you're home. I'm busy giving the kids a bath, but I'll be out to greet you I think I'm almost done shampooing the last kid. I'm going to come say hi to you in 3 minutes, in 7 minutes, in 15 minutes. I'm almost done. Then I will come say hello to you.
We will not leave.
But we will not wait. Say that again? Oh, go ahead.
She said that a woman, if that was the scenario,
okay, that's the whole scenario.
Yeah,
let's turn this very hard for the person. Yeah. You're giving a bath. Your husband comes in from work, right? And you say, hi, honey, I'm so happy you're home. I love you. Welcome home. There's a cup of juice on the counter. I'm going to be down in 10 minutes. I'm giving the kids a bath, okay? There's a world of difference between him coming home and you saying, oh, hi, I'm giving the kids a bath. It's just a mental thing of, one, he's the total priority of the house, but you can't leave the kids alone in the bath. He knows that, right? And the other one is acknowledging his priority in your life. And this ongoingly, to do this day after day, drip by drip by drip, will warm a spot in his home, in his heart, in his heart, that he is your number one priority. And here's what shifts. When you are somebody's first priority, do you feel more or less likely to treat them well? Mm-hmm. Do you feel more or less likely to reciprocate that kind of adoration? Do you feel more or less likely to prioritize them in your life? When they are at the bottom of your priority list, guess where you fall? So this is a very self-serving way to act. aside from the fact that it is the right thing to do, aside from the fact that that's our job, it's also extremely self-serving. And the shift is, in practical terms, you'll find this many times during the day. Your husband calls. You're on the phone with the school, the kid's feeling sick. Meanwhile, you're on an email of a bill that came through and they said, we're shutting off your lights by 4 o'clock if you don't pay. You've got some really urgent things you're dealing with. And your husband calls. Hi, what's new? And you're like, are you out of your mind? Like, do you know what I mean? What's new? Do you want to know what's new? When he calls, this is how you show that he's the priority. You're like, it's pretty nuts here. I can actually, I can talk to you now for just a few minutes, whatever. It's pretty nuts. I can tell you what's going, or I can do you the favor of not telling you what's going on. Or I am about to, in about half an hour, I'm going to get all this stuff done, and then I'm going to sit down to eat lunch. Would you like me to call you back? And then we can actually schmooze, something like that. It's just this constant work of finding every way that we possibly can to connect and to make them feel like they're the priority in our life. It's not necessarily working harder, although sometimes it is working harder. It's more annoying to go drop something here than here first, And you don't have to always do that. I'm not trying to make people more crazy than they already are. But I am telling you that if you do this, you'll be less crazy. You know why? Because a lot of the things you're taking care of right now, God himself will take care of. If you're running around doing 10 things, ignoring your husband, right? God will throw in an extra 2, an extra 5, an extra 10 things to, and plus your necklace chain broken, you have to repair that, and then also you have, the heel on your shoe falls off, and then your phone doesn't work, and you have to spend 3 hours talking to the thing. If you focus on shalom bayis, on peace in your home, and take care of your husband, God himself will come and fix your phone and fix your shoe. Okay, or make them not break in the first place. This sounds woo-woo, and maybe it is a little woo-woo. We've got the sources to prove it. So this is good news.
So I actually had a friend addressing that with little kids who literally lived like her husband was the priority and always putting him first, and that was really, she lived it. And even with little kids, when she had little babies or whatever, she always said, I remember seeing one, so she always said, my husband's first, but what she would do is let's say the kid really needed her, and there was no way for her to prioritize her husband at that point. She always made sure to acknowledge that to him. Like she would say to him, honey, right now I want to do nothing but spend time with you, but Honey really needs me. What do you think I should do? And she would literally turn it on to him. I was like watching it as she's like, you know what, the baby's crying. She's really upset. I think if I nursed her now, she'd be great. But I really want to spend time with you. So what do you think I should do? Fantastic. And her husband right away was like, go feed the baby. You and I will have plenty of time afterwards. Like she.
But can you understand where that husband's whole reality was shifted? Can you understand that look, life is challenging enough and hard enough, and a man walks around, his whole esteem, his whole sense of worth, his whole sense of feeling that he's, women come to me, my husband he doesn't ask for a raise, he doesn't push in business, he doesn't this, he doesn't that. And I'm like, are you building him up? Or are you building him down or tearing him down? If she, it's kind of like if she was building him up and all the time not disappointing him and not showing him and putting him as the priority, maybe he'd have the esteem that she so desperately wants from him. So I'm just saying, this woman who is treating her husband like that, he walks around a little bit differently than other men. You want your husband to walk around feeling like the governor's wife. You want to build him up on an ongoing basis. I have the next question for you. What actions would you have to take to put him first? This is what we're talking about. But I want you to think, in your day-to-day life, maybe everybody will throw out an example or something like that, like you're going to do carpool or something like that. What actions can we all do to show our husbands? You have one? To show him that he's first. He's a priority. Name one thing. I'm going to go around and everybody throw out.
I know what is the dinner. Like I prefer this. I cook it.
By making dinner. When he walks in the door, dinner's ready. Very nice. It's a show
and dinner that he likes.
Like, what's the combo back there? What was it?
Well, they hung out her husband like salad.
Yeah. She said that a couple of times. It's true.
Yeah.
What else? What other things? Yeah.
I charge his phone every morning before I do anything.
You charge his phone?
Why in the morning? Why not at night?
Yes.
She gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, and she gets up and
so
she
you
literally
wake up and
takes
she
his phone and charges it. So when he comes to leave.
He knows that I do it. So I say this is the first tested X I do in the morning. So he knows I do it.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Wow.
This is a good one.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
Even though I leave the room
And there's a...
but he knows that his phone was charging like,
And he knows his, so she charges his phone every morning for him. But here's what I want you to know. He's holding his phone at 7, or let's say 4, he's at a meeting and it's 10:30 and he's scrolling through or he's calling somebody or whatever. He's holding something that his wife has done to take care of him. Even if consciously he's not necessarily aware of what the exact act she did for him, subconsciously and in his heart and in his soul, she took care of him. There's a feeling, he's sitting in that conference room and the boss is screaming at everybody and whatever. There's a part of him that doesn't even care. Like, my wife loves me. My wife thinks I'm great. My wife takes care of me. This too shall pass. I'll survive whatever is going on in my day. And that carries him through. It seems very woo-woo, but you ever go to a store and you found something you really want or whatever, and then the salesperson who's selling it to you is just a little bit nasty? You know, they're just like a little whatever, and then you come home with the thing and you kind of don't even want to use the thing, even though you really wanted it. You know, stuff has spiritual reality to it, you know. This is the same, this is what I'm talking about. There's something about what you are doing for him that is sustaining him and carrying him through. And a lot of women want their husband to have the kind of stature they see in other men, or they see in their father, or they see, you know, they have role models and they want that kind of stature. It's in your hands. It's in our hands. We have the power.
Oh, praying.
The power of praying.
Like even making challah, davening, like right away to have these.
Radius, yeah.
Good. Okay, who else has other ideas of what we do?
So I actually set his place at Shabbos when we're about getting ready to eat. I'll actually set his place first. And I've actually noticed that my daughters have noticed it, because the way our table is set up, it would make more sense for me to set up other plates first and not go around and set his and then keep coming back to his, because I'm literally making extra steps. But I've noticed that they notice it, because when my daughter goes to set the table, she'll be like, oh, wait, you have to set Abba's plate first. Meaning subconsciously she's seen.
She saw that without
me
even
constantly, and I'm going back and forth, and I keep going to make sure his setting is all set before we bring others. So
fantastic. Does anyone have anything else?
I have one pillow on my bed, and because when I go to bed, he goes off, so I will keep it.
You take your husband's pillow back. And he comes in our life, and there's just like one couple.
She basically preps the bed for him before he comes. Like, oh, hell, when they do what's down service.
Did you put chocolate? And I never understood that. They put chocolate on the pillow. You're eating it before you go to bed, and then you should brush your teeth. Like, I don't quite get that. Anyway, okay. That's why this is the dentist put them up today.
It's an aphrodisiac, Leah.
And he comes to study for him. What did you say? That what?
That it's an aphrodisiac, Leah.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, I hear that. Okay, wow. Wait. We have to cut that. Edit that part. Okay. We're all married. So you make his hot water. Very nice. So these are all really beautiful examples of the acts that we do to show our husband he's our king. He's our precious. We treasure him. We cherish him. And, yeah, go ahead.
I have a question on, I can think of a lot of little things like that I do since we started the class.
She said, I'm going to repeat because I can't remember your whole long thing. So she has a lot of things that she does. For the last 2 years of class she's learned. And she's done a lot of them.
It's more like a discussion question, like, what the value would be in telling my husband versus just keeping.
Oh, very good, very good.
Because you had said something.
Well, hold on. Her question is what the value is in telling her husband that she's making priorities and keeping it keeping it quiet and sort of secret from him.
Right. So I think some things make sense to say, maybe some things not, but it was just interesting when you said something just before, like, like for example, the phone, he subconsciously knows that it was better. There was another example you gave where if he knows, then it does build some.
It does build, right. So her charging his phone, that gives him a level of spiritual sweetness, right. Okay? Right. Something like fluffing his pillows.
He comes to bed,
his bed is ready.
So he knows, but my husband never knows that I said it's late. He comes to I never told him.
We always like to drink this, hot water drink, whatever, so I'll prepare before I'm going up to bed mine and his, and I'll make his first, and I'll do his first, and then I'll do mine.
He doesn't know that.
I don't make him drink. No, he knows that I made him the drink, but he doesn't know how I
Yeah. So the question is, when do you what's the value? When do you tell him you're doing it, and when do you not tell? Okay, go ahead.
I don't know when to come out. Someone that when you do somebody a favor, you should let him know that you did it for them. Let's say you did somebody a favor or anything, and they don't know about it. They should know.
You should tell people that you do favors.
Yes.
If things done in quiet there's a certain blessing to things done.
What I'm taking from this whole class discussion is more that the way you started, that it's a shift in the priority in your mind. It's not really to make an announcement of.
It's a shift in priority in your mind, not necessarily for him today. So there's actually both are very, very valuable. I'm so glad you made this point, separated out this point, because we have to know there's some things we're doing for our own growth, right, and some things we're doing to physically show him that he, like plugging the phone in. Okay, or making him tea, and he comes and he's got the hot tea and it's ready. So there are many, many things he's visually seeing in the bathtub. Hey, honey, I'm coming down in 10 minutes. I'm almost finished bathing the kids. There are many things that he will physically witness. Those are part of the program. And then there are going to be many hidden things, like setting his table first and then setting the rest of the family's table. And both of them in conjunction together are what build this a beautiful feeling for him to feel like the king, and more importantly, truly more importantly, because if you are making him the priority, you are turning yourself into the kind of person who is able to make him the priority. And that ability and that strengthening that muscle to do it is what will give you a level of closeness and depth of understanding of what our purpose and our meaning is in our life. And you'll find this. And then the blessing will start showering into shower power and pouring power into our home. So with that, I'm going to give you your homework. That homework is one time this week, put your husband as a priority when it's difficult to do so. Okay? It doesn't, do it anyway. It doesn't necessarily. If you're at the end of the week and it's almost next Wednesday at 11 o'clock, stay tuned right here. Yeah. If it's almost next Wednesday, and it's the Tuesday next week or whatever, just show him a priority. It doesn't have to be when it's difficult, but extra credit is sort of doing it when it's challenging for you to do. And we're really looking forward to
this. And the Leah secret?
The Leah secret for the day is if you make your husband your top priority, blessing will pour into your home. That's the Leah secret for the day. And thank you very much. It's the Ladies Talk Show I'm your host, Leah Richeimer. Subscribe. What am I supposed to add? Like us, join, everything.
Pass the word forward.
Pass the word forward. Hold on. Okay, are we done? Thank you, everybody, for being here. I need to speak with everybody.